This is All India Radio. Life must go on. All India Radio, in collaboration with Vigyan-Prasar, presents science serial Life Must Go On, based on understanding and managing sustainable development.
Life must go on. And to discuss how life must go on, I'm joined by eminent panel here. There's Dr. Anand Kumar Sharma, Regional Coordinator, Agromet Advisory Services Division, India Meteorological Department. Dr. Somnath Baidyroy, Associate Professor, Center for Atmospheric Sciences, IIT Delhi. And Dr. B.K. Tyagi, Scientist with Vigyan-Prasar. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Manoj.
I'd like to begin with Dr. Roy. One has been going through the newspapers lately. It has been amply highlighted that this has been the warmest January in the last, some papers say 12 years, some say 25 years. For people like me who don't mind a warm January with all my mufflers and caps tucked off, how alarming is it if you look at the larger picture?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question. I mean, first I will say, yes, I mean, nobody likes a very cold winter. A warm winter is probably not a bad thing. But the problem with global warming is such that like when you have a warm winter, you are also probably going to have a warm summer. And I'm sure that's not something that you like. Now, however, I mean, I would caution against taking data from 1 month and drawing a large conclusion. In my opinion, that what we should be focusing on, that Januaries over the past 10, 20, 30 years have consistently getting warmer, barring 1 or 2 exceptions. In fact, I would extend this further and say that every year till today, like in the compared to the past, like, you know, maybe 20, 30 years, except for a few exceptions, have been warmer than the previous year. So this is actually part of a larger trend, and which is something that scientists have with almost 100% certainty ascribed to what we call global warming or climate change due to emissions of fossil fuels and other greenhouse gases.
Dr. Sharma, we'll soon be discussing deeper subjects like natural resource management. We'll touch a bit of water, a bit of biodiversity, a bit of sustainable mining. You are with the Agromet division. Now, much emphasis is being laid on Agromet these days. But this is one subject which not every student of science knows well about. Agromet is something which, to my mind, comes across as a combination of, you know, agriculture and meteorology, which it is.
Yes.
How do you explain the role of Agromet in the larger picture, as we said?
Fantastic. See, agrometeorology has a very important role in natural resource management and especially in agriculture. How? Farmers these days want to know when to sow their crops, when to irrigate, how much to irrigate, when to harvest their crop, and when to spray chemicals to control diseases. So these are the few important questions which a farmer wants to know well in advance so that he can plan his activities. And here we are, India Meteorological Department, through its agromet advisories or weather-based agro advisories to the farmers, through television, radio, SMS, is doing a great job. Say, for example, now we have a wheat crop. It's a winter season and it has certain critical stages for where it needs irrigation. Now, say, for example, computer models are right now indicating a western disturbance around 9th and 10th. Okay, so this information is very important for the farmers. So as we go further, we will know that certainly it is going to give rain. So then what we do is we tell the farmers, look, you need to irrigate your crops, but you postpone your irrigation because rain is going to come. So now if the rain comes, you just imagine how much money you save. Say, for example, Uttarakhand, when I was there as Director of Meteorological Center, there we have 7 lakh hectares of irrigated land. And the cost of irrigation of 1 hectare is 500 rupees. So just imagine if I save 1 irrigation, how much it comes to 7 lakh into 500 rupees. It runs into crores. So you can save lots of money and you have saved electricity, you have saved the underground water. So this is the one advantage. Second thing is, suppose there is a disease and farmer is interested to spray certain chemicals. So we will tell him, look, you have a disease, but you wait because rain is going to come. If you spray, your chemical,
washed away.
it will be washed away. First is you will lose your chemical money. Second thing, this washed away chemicals will enter into ponds and river. There it's going to create more ecological problems.
Okay.
So I'm saving the money and I'm saving the environment also. So natural resource management here. So that's the most important. Similarly, fertilizer also. It's raining and you have applied the fertilizer, it will leach down. It will pollute the groundwater. So that's another issue. Sowing and harvesting, I'll give you one very good example. I had given the forecast that rain is going to come. So one of the farmers in the Haridwar district, what he did was he harvested his Toria crop. Again, it was a winter time. So then when we collect the scientist-farmer interaction, he gave us the feedback. Sir, you had given the forecast. And knowing that, I harvested my crop. I said, how much you saved? He said, I saved something like 1 lakh rupees. Otherwise, if had he not harvested that crop, it would lead to the grain shattering.
Okay.
So this is how
I think it is a very important point in terms of like we keep on listening to so much complaints. This is one of the the voices of our farmers that the agriculture is no more profitable venture now. It may be like I think there is a lack of or some information gap in terms of how they can maximize the existing information system to optimize their agriculture production by reducing the cost. I think yes, this is like which I feel is very important intervention in terms of, and we request all our farmers also to be very very careful and particular about these kind of information what the meteorological department is giving for them.
I will add one more thing in this. Our production about 15 to 20% goes as a waste due to like either diseases or post-harvesting losses. So if we can give right kind of advisories and if we can reduce these losses and we can prevent these diseases from happening, so that 15 to 20% loss will also be further increase in production.
Just out of curiosity, before I forget, Dr. Roy asked us not to be alarmed, but I somehow can't take it off my mind. Has anything to do with the Agromet department? Was it alarmed because of the warm January?
See, what happens generally, like you must have read the news also. Some people said in Uttarakhand there is a tree called rhododendron. It has beautiful flowers. Normally they say it flowers in the month of March. Now they are saying it has already started flowering in the late January.
It was yesterday only.
There was a news. But then again it's like this. Why it has happened? Because flowering is linked to heat units, temperature. If you have higher temperatures, your phenological stage will be reached earlier. So early flowering. And why this time early flowering? Because less rain, less clouding, less snow. So you have higher temperatures. But there are years when you have normal rain, normal temperatures, then it flowers again in flowery. But many people are linking it with the global warming. So here I am saying, like when it is happening normal, then what will you say?
Can we take like the single isolated event of flowering? Is it enough proof to link it with the climate change or global warming?
Yeah,
or
that's actually a very good question, and that's something that I kind of alluded to at the beginning. So climate is a very long-term, large-scale phenomenon, and that is something that takes maybe tens of years, even 100 years to unfold. And if you look at all the evidence regarding climate change, we are talking about, let's say, a 2-3 degree warming over the course of 100 years. And it also has many manifestations in the form of changes in rainfall pattern, sea level rise, changes in ecosystem responses like flowering and other kinds of things. So that is certainly, if we look at all the evidence, we certainly see trends that are consistent with a warming world in almost all the facets of the Earth system. But on the other hand, the climate is also very variable. There is a natural variability in the climate system as well. So year to year differences, which probably have nothing to do with global warming,
change.
but just natural variability. So that is why I caution people that when we look at like one piece of evidence, please don't draw a conclusion. Look at like many other evidences, put them together, and only then once a trend or a broad large scale statistically significant pattern emerges, then we kind of try to
See
connect
here
with
climate
change.
many people are also confusing climate variability as climate change. So climate change is an added pressure to the climate variability that we need to understand. Many of the changes what happens is you have normal rainfall, below normal and above normal. So people are confusing that whenever it's below they confuse it with the climate change. When it's above, they confuse it with climate change. But it should be abnormal things should be linked to that, and that should be consistent and over a long period of time.
Yeah, suppose like this time monsoon is very erratic, but next year if it's normal, so this factor cannot be attributable to this climate change or global warming.
In fact, monsoon is such a strong system. Over the last 100 years, we have not found any
much change
in
yes,
that.
Yes.
That intra-annual and inter-annual changes will be there. But as a monsoon system, it has not much impact on climate change.
Because there is something interesting. In Kerala, it has to hit the coast on a particular day, and people have, they are betting on that issue. Whether the climate is reaching on that particular date.
True.
As per the previous year. So it is so predictable and so definite actually. So I don't think even last 2-3 years record, if we see, there is hardly a variation of a 1 or 2 day maximum.
But past also we have seen, in a particular like Mumbai or Delhi, there is a variability. It may reach 10, it has also like for example 2013 when you had Kedarnath. That time you had monsoon had reached somewhere around 14th or 15th of June itself. So normally it hits Delhi somewhere around 28th or 29th of June. So that natural variability is already there, here and there. But plus 1 week and this thing plus minus is considered normal. But then variability is such. Natural climate variability already exists that 15th June to it may go up to even 15th July also as well.
I'll add like a little bit more to this mix here. Obviously, as Dr. Sharma said, that we have natural variability and climate change is an added pressure on that variability. Some like recent studies are also showing that climate change affects that variability as well. For example, like there are evidences in terms of some extreme weather. It is indeed true that like in certain parts of the world extreme weather is increasing. So you have natural variability. On top of that, you have a trend like climate change which is slowly changing the patterns, but it is also changing the patterns of variability. There is some very weak evidence about Bay of Bengal cyclones. We don't know very much about that yet, but there is a possibility that there are some weak signs. So that is why climate change is a very, very complex problem. I mean, you have natural variability, you have a trend, you have changes in that natural variability. I mean, I personally believe that like we have enough evidence that climate is changing, and I think that most people, if I look at around the world, they really want to do something about it, and so that to me is a very, very good sign. And if you look at like the last Paris 2015 COP and all of these things, I think we've for our country we've taken some very, very strong steps. So I personally think that, I mean, obviously we cannot reverse this trend, probably definitely not in our lifetime, but I think we can do enough to arrest this so that it never becomes a catastrophe. But I guess I'm more of an optimist than
the message from Dr. Rai is that at least we can freeze at the existing level by taking certain initiatives.
Yes.
At mitigation at the world community level, at the national level, at the local level, and even at the individual level, I think.
Well, equally complex, gentlemen, is the ever ongoing debate of achieving high economic growth rate versus, the dream of maintaining the sustainability of biodiversity. This is one area which this falls under the scope of today's discussion, and it leads to more questions than answers.
Like the aspect is this: one side we had the problem, climate change, which has been attributed to for anthropological reason, and that is majority of that intervention, human intervention, is just to maximize the economic growth. And now we are talking about the concept of sustainable development, where we are not like we have to keep enough our resources for the future generation. But at the same time, if we take a case of India, we have already, our population is billion plus. So how we can reconcile both the aspect? If we reduce that, we'll be lagging behind. We cannot feed so many people. It's a question of food and security, agriculture and all that. But if we reduce that, then compromising on our economic growth. So what is the way out now? We are in a very traumatic situation. If we can go this way or we should go that way, and both sides we had a problem. So how to deal with this kind of situation?
No, I think you are absolutely right. We have limited resources and unlimited appetite. And naturally, we want to maximize production. So doing that, we are also creating more problems to the environment. And that again is putting brakes on the production. Like some areas in Punjab, you see, because of high productivity of wheat, rice, production has increased, but like because of continuous irrigation, the water table has come up, the lands are becoming salty. So that's again not a sustainable system.
Yes.
So this is what we need to realize. So cropping pattern should be as per the climate of that region.
There is one more very linked question to that of this land use change.
Yes.
Because even I have seen in so-called that green revolution area,
Yeah.
where they have changed the cropping pattern. Now they are growing paddy.
Yes.
This is the area where they
It's a semi-arid area. They should not be growing paddy.
Yes. But because of this market compulsion or making more profit,
Yes.
they have shifted to this paddy cultivation.
True.
It's a very surprising.
Similarly, in Maharashtra, sugarcane.
Yeah.
I will add a very interesting point to what you just said, Dr. Tyagi, that now because of double cropping in Punjab, so they harvest the wheat and within a few weeks they have to plant paddy. And so there is no time for the crop residue to kind of disintegrate.
And they're
get
burning
back in.
it.
And so now we are burning the crop residue. And so every year in November we have these huge pollution episodes in entire North India.
Yes.
So in a lot of way, like, obviously, so it's not unique problem for our country, but for the entire developing world is the poverty level. So obviously we cannot put any brakes on development. Clearly, because you need to put food on the tables of people. We are not like the US or Europe where we can make sacrifices there. So there can be no sacrifices regarding food, healthcare, education. But in the quest of that, I think we've taken very different and wrong track than what we should have taken. And this is clearly not sustainable, and that's very, very clear. Finding the right crop rotation and the right crop which is suitable for the climate and something that actually is suitable for the diet of the local people. Those concerns were never
One more thing
brought
is
into the
land use
planning
cover.
phase.
If you see, earlier there were forests, now the agriculture came, and after agriculture, now it's the industry or urbanization. So now you see what is happening is that we are creating the concrete jungles. So these concrete jungles are also contributing to the warming, which we call as urban heat island. That's what has happened to the most of the cities and all. If you see, barring few, their green structure has gone, and now it uses concrete. Concrete, we all know it absorbs and traps the radiation, and which leads to warming. And not only that, you also have the pakka road. Naturally, you need development. You have pavements. What that is doing is that earlier the water used to percolate down. Right, that is not percolating down,
Not anymore.
and you are drawing more water, so your water table down has come down. Secondly, because of this concretization, this water, when there is a heavy rainfall event, the runoff is so fast, it is creating a lot of problems.
flash floods.
Flash flood, and then people are linking it with the climate change.
Chennai example, most of the people
and again
say,
Chennai, as you very well said,
yeah.
all the construction has taken place in the low-lying area or where there were earlier ponds. So what people have done is, builders, they have filled those ponds, constructed the houses. Whenever there's a heavy rainfall event, you will see knee-deep water.
There's no
there.
place for water.
So it's not, again here, it's not climate change. Impact. It is the land use, land cover change.
Yeah.
So this is very important. We should not confuse.
Along this is a very interesting point that, like, our conversation came to this, that sometimes even the best of intentions have led to wrong results, and I'm concerned that that might even happen in the future. And this is all coming because, like, of our way of thinking, of industrial scale thinking. So for example, if you look at our nationally determined contribution that we agreed to do in the Paris Treaty, so the basis of Paris Treaty is that we will try to keep global warming less than 2 degrees and preferably 1.5 degrees. For that purpose, India, we as a country, we committed to like massive growth in renewable energy to reduce emissions from fossil fuels, and also managing our land resources better, like afforestation and other things, so that we can absorb carbon from the atmosphere and store it in the land, so thereby reducing the greenhouse gas concentration. Now, if you look at like most of the afforestation programs that we have undertaken earlier, they have been very like kind of industrial scale monoculture, that there will be hundreds of thousands of acres of eucalyptus, Now, this is something, similar thing also happened in Nepal with rhododendrons. For example, that Nepal was afforested with rhododendrons, and now the ecology of Nepal, that Kathmandu Valley, is actually devastated, and it was funded by, I think, Australian government. Now, I'm afraid that, like, you know what, this is something that I have seen in our country earlier. Like when I travel by train, I see these monocultures of eucalyptus.
Eucalyptus and popular tree.
Popular.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why local species should be promoted, not the alien ones.
I'm reminded of the Republic Day parade at Rajpath, the science and technology tableau, which pertained to agriculture. Their theme this time was Mishrit Kheti, mixed farming.
cropping.
And this, I
Mixed
think,
cropping.
if emphasis is laid and it is implemented by one and all, I think in terms of natural resource management, it can be a good step.
Absolutely. See what has happened. Earlier we used to have only mixed cropping. Even your tribal communities, you go, even Bastar where I had worked, they all follow mixed cropping. But it's only for the
Without
last
being
30
educated about
Yes,
it.
yeah.
By
That's
default.
their own experience over, say, hundreds of years.
But Dr. Saab, if we look at the current scenario, we have been now used to a particular lifestyle. We need like minimum thing is there. And now we are saying we reduce it. A farmer ultimate objective is to earn more money. So the crop which fetch him more money in the market,
Yes.
he will grow that.
Natural market forces.
Yeah. So now one side there is a market force, there is a like looking for a more energy intensive oriented lifestyle, and then we are talking about climate change and global warming. For a communicator like me, it poses a big challenge. How I can convince an ordinary person? You change your habits, you go back to this older time, you reduce your energy demand or consumption, your lifestyle. I think it's very difficult. So we can do at this level because we are totally, in such a state where we cannot came out of vicious circle around us.
It's true, but then we can come out of that. Suppose, as you said, energy utilization. You see, we are in a tropical country. We have plenty of sunlight, but you see the building design. We construct buildings in such a way that natural light doesn't enter into the building. So that is one aspect.
The least we can do by way of contribution is say no to Tetra Packs for a change.
There are many things we can say.
It's like jumping a red light, and then when the policeman catches you, then you offer him whatever fine he levies on you. Then again jump the second red light. So even if you pay the cess, it amounts to nothing.
It amounts to nothing.
I have a very interesting anecdote, if you will. Actually, I understand the question that you had asked, Tyagiji, that we need development, and quite likely, and obviously there is really, because where we have so many, the population is so high, so many people are below the poverty line, clearly we need development. How can we do it in a sustainable way? Now, if we start thinking along industrial scales and adopt the policies of the past, I think we will probably not be able to do both. And so time has come for new thinking. And here there are two sources of information. Obviously we have modern science, which, as a scientist, both Dr. Sharma and I represent. But on the other hand, we have traditional indigenous knowledge, which actually works very well with market forces. I will give you one simple example. Like if you look at Himachal, Himachal, we used to have apples growing in the valleys, right? Now then global warming kicked in. And so the climate that is required to grow apple in the valley, the farmers noticed that they couldn't grow apple there anymore. So now after 10, 15, 20 years, now if you go to Himachal, what will you see? Very, very interesting thing. You will see that many apple orchards have migrated up the slope to higher altitudes where the climate is more suitable. And the farmers who are growing apple in the valley, now they are growing crops like baby corn and capsicum for
off-season
which,
vegetables.
for
As
which
well.
now there is a big market for that in urban areas like Delhi. Like if you go to a restaurant in Delhi, 20 years back I had never seen a baby corn. If I saw a baby corn, I would have thought, what is this? There's something wrong with this.
It has not
But-
grown.
True.
But now, because there is more money, so you look at, this is something that I see
Opportunity.
as a bottom-up way of adapting to climate change, which is something that happened purely based on not any kind of large scale policy prescription, but decisions taken by farmers at local level. So I personally feel that there are lots of these kinds of opportunities which we are not thinking, because many of us, we are stuck in that way of thinking of large scale factory farming and industrialization.
Even somebody said, now the new varieties of apple are coming, which will be grow even at still lower levels. So that's also going to happen.
That is actually a part of that strategy, how to adapt to this climate change. But my one question is, Dr. to Somnath and sir, to you. See, like you said, like sometime with best of intention, what we proposed is turned out to be a fiasco. Sometime I see like we have to dealt the problem of pollution or polluting industry. We said we'll put more cess or tax on that. But by imposing more tax or by cess, I think the harm which they are doing to the environment, it cannot be compensated by anything. So what should be then the approach? Like this tetra packing or this?
No, but then that's what the issue is, that like I think somewhere if you go to Srinagar in Jammu Kashmir, so there's a garden over there. What they have done, if you come with your chips or kurkure packet, with then they will ask you to deposit 10 rupees or 20 rupees per packet, or water bottle another 10 rupees, so that if you go there and leave those empty packets and come back, you will not get your money.
But my question goes beyond that.
Okay.
Anyway, you have created that material which is not biodegradable. You will throw it somewhere. It is only
what I want to tell here was that if you collect it back, then you recycle it in your factory again, reuse it. But I agree with you, we should go for more of recyclable products rather than this kind of which do not biodegrade and creates more problem. I do agree.
Come to the concluding part of the program, which is the letters. Now, Tyagiji, I see a deluge of letters here.
Yeah, I also have this number. You can see this bunch of these are the letters which have come through the email.
Very good news for the program, and very good news for the listeners as well.
Program is becoming popular day by day, and I think Vigyan-Prasar and All India Radio has linked the science.
And one is happy to see new listeners joining in. To give you an example, this is Pappu Kumar from district Araria, Bihar. Then there's a regular listener, again she's written in, Divya Tiwari from Kanpur Dehat. There's Anish Kumar Gaurav from Deepu Gadha, Parle, Jharkhand, all far off places. This is Ravi Shankar Chandrakar Diwan from Baroda Bazar, Chhattisgarh. This is Dilip Kumar Jaiswal from Balia. This is Zainab Fatima from Shajapur, MP. Ravi Shankar Chandrakar Diwan.
I also have the names which I received through email. That is Abhilash Dwivedi, Roshan Kumar, Rahul Ram Singh, then Anirudh Surgical. I think this was a bit strange name. And Anupam Mishra, Aman Kumar Singh, and Shri Harsha, Suresh Kumar. There's so many, Aarti Devi, Mohan Babu. But I would like to make a request to my all listeners who are sending their letters or the answer through mail, that they are not writing their postal address. On mail, I think if you are the lucky winner, I think we cannot send your prize through mail.
So let's take this opportunity to convey to each and every listener that whenever they write in, they should mention their full name and address.
And the episode
for their own convenience.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we come to the conclusion of this very stimulating discussion on natural resource management in the science serial Life Must Go On. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Roy, and Dr. Tyagi. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You were listening to the 36th episode of this science serial produced by All India Radio in collaboration with Vigyan-Prasar, titled Interactive Program based on listeners' letters. Participants were Dr. Birendra Kumar Tyagi, Scientist and Coordinator, Science Serial; Dr. Anand Kumar Sharma, Regional Coordinator, Agromet Advisory Services Division, India Meteorological Department; Dr. Somnath Baidya Roy, Associate Professor, Center for Atmospheric Sciences, IIT Delhi. Manoj Mankar was moderating the program. You can send your advice by simple post. Our address is Science Serial Life Must Go On, All India Radio, room number 615, New Broadcasting House, Sansad Marg, New Delhi 110001. You can also write on our email ID radio@vigyanprasar.gov.in. Please do write or mail us your full name, age and profession. If associated with Science Club, do let us know the membership of your club. If you have any query or question, don't hesitate to write to us. We will be back again with the next episode of this science serial Life Must Go On. Same day, same time next week. Till then, goodbye.